It is week 10, one of the most interesting DFS slates of the season. I love so much about this week. Week after week, I'm here giving you 5 top DFS plays to build around, whether that's for double up games, your cash games, your multipliers, or whether that's for tournaments, large field, small field. It doesn't matter. These are the players you can build winning lineups around. So let's get into it. And let's start with our cover boy, Amon-Ra St. Brown. The Chargers allow the 4th most receiving yardage to wide receivers per game at 191 yards. They give up the 3rd highest yards per reception at 14.7 and the 5th most wide receiver touchdowns per game as well at 1.1. Over the last 6 games, when Amon-Ra St. Brown's been healthy, he's had 100 receiving yards in all but one appearance. That was week 4, the week he was struggling through injuries. He averages the 6th most wide receiver points per game at 20.0. That's more than all quarterbacks not named Josh Allen and Jalen Hurts. Like, when he's out there, he is just a PPR cheat code. DraftKings, PPR, we know the 100-point bonus is so important. It gets you those extra 3 points. He just does things that other wide receivers can't. St. Brown, he's the prototypical cash game wide receiver. He offers everything that Keenan Allen does, but, we're talking about a cheaper price by several $100s. And let's be real, it's a better offense as well than the Chargers. In tournaments, I want to prioritize St. Brown in stacks with Goff and at least one more Lions pass catcher, unless you're looking at this from the Justin Herbert side, and then, you can use him as the run back on Keenan Allen, but it's pretty difficult to jam all that in this weekend. I've not found lineups I like doing that yet. Like I say, if you're stacking with Jared Goff, I always use at least 2 Lions players with him, because these pocket passers who offer no rushing upside, they need more of a big performance from at least 2 skill players to typically drag them into the 20-point territory where we really need them to be to pay off. Let's move on. But if you are here, if you are liking this, do me a solid. Hit that subscribe button. I bring you so much DFS content. All we're doing here is trying to help you win. Let's move on to the next one. DK Metcalf. 6,800 against the Commanders. It's not been pretty for Metcalf this year. Once again, he's kind of failed to separate from Tyler Lockett. Despite an ADP, he was several rounds ahead of him. But it's not been pretty for the Seahawks offense this year. The passing games average only 224 yards per game and only 1.1 touchdowns. But this though, this is the week, the get-right spot of all get-right spots for the Seahawks, because the Commanders, they play fast. They're ranked 3rd in pass rate over expected over the last 4 games. That means they're passing the ball in neutral situations, in situations where they're not necessarily expected to pass. They pass the ball. Sam Howell, he drives the ball downfield. And let's be real, the Commanders' defense, they can't stop a gust of wind. And they just traded away the best 2 players on defense. Washington, they allow the 3rd most wide receiver points, the 5th most receiving yards, the 2nd most wide receiver touchdowns per game, and a league high 15.5 yards per reception. They're weak all over the field on defense, but most vulnerable on the perimeter, and that's where DK Metcalf can absolutely feast. This is a matchup I'm going to be attacking heavily. I love Geno double stacks this weekend with at least 1 Commanders bring back on the other side of it. And I wouldn't be averse to playing like 5 players from this game in one lineup. I'm really going to be aggressively targeting this game nonstop. Moving on, Aaron Jones. He's been limited this season. He dealt with injuries. He was maxing out at like 11 touches per game. And then finally last week, the Packers gave him 24 touches, turned it into 18 PPR points, 99 total yards, 1 yard short of that magical 100-yard rushing bonus on DraftKings. Now he's facing the Steelers defense. Like, they are frauds on defense. Once you take TJ Watt out of it, once you take Minkah Fitzpatrick out of it, they are not the strong Pittsburgh defense that we've seen in the past. They allow the 4th most running back rushing yards per game at 112, give 4.4 yards per carry, and the 5th highest yards per reception to running backs at 8.3, which we know is an area which Aaron Jones can be involved in. Jones, he's not being projected highly for ownership, mainly because players like Joe Mixon and Bijan Robinson are around him in price, which makes him a really interesting tournament player. I think you can correlate him with Deontay Johnson. You can correlate him with, a couple of players from this game if you really want to. I'll probably stop at Deontay Johnson, though, because I don't feel like it's going to be an insanely high-scoring game, but it should be enough where we can clearly get plenty of points on the board. Next up, Drake London. The Cardinals' secondary is absolutely rotten. They allow a league-high 72% catch rate to opposing wide receivers, ninth most receiving yards, along with top 10 rates to both slot and wide receivers. Drake London, he missed out on Taylor Heineke's first full start last week, but it sounds like he's completely healthy. He's off the injury report, and he should benefit from Taylor Heineke, who looks to drive the ball downfield. He boasts a 10.1 average depth of target. That's higher than all NFL starters at quarterback, apart from Will Levis. And it's a big jump from Desmond Ridder's 7.8. So hopefully we see the ball being driven downfield. We see Drake London have plenty of catches, plenty of targets, and I feel like he can explode in this game. I think in cash games, I wouldn't blame anyone for choosing to play Bijan Robinson instead. But in tournaments, I'm looking at Drake London. I think you can correlate it with either Trey McBride, who's going to be one of the most popular tight ends of the week, or Marquise Hollywood Brown, who should see better targets now that Kyler's back. Moving on, we've got one more. But before we get there, though, if you like DFS, come and join us at the Fantasy Sanctuary. Hit join down below. You get exclusive members-only videos where I talk about my favorite stacks, my favorite cash game core plays, leverage, all that kind of stuff every single week. You get a comprehensive DFS write-up in our Discord every week. You get all of Rich's incredible Dynasty content. If you play Dynasty content and you're not one of our members, you're doing your teams a disservice. It's less than $2 a week. We will help you win. It'll pay for itself. And now let's get on to Dalton Schultz. Tight end 8 overall. I'm late to the party with Dalton Schultz, but, it's better to get on late than not at all. I thought I was more into Nico Collins, was more into Tank Dell. What we've seen is that, with injuries to them and Nico Collins missing this week, that Schultz has earned himself a role. Over the last 4 games, he's got a 27.5% target share. That's second only to TJ Hawkinson. His targets per game in that span of 7.7 is 6th amongst all tight ends. He's the tight end 5 over the last 4 games. So, we could really be seeing him just on an upward trajectory for the rest of the season. The Bengals, they allow the 3rd most fantasy points to tight ends, 4th most receptions per game, 2nd highest catch rate to the position. I think you can look at Dalton Schultz as safe enough for cash games, double ups, multipliers. And if you're looking for tournament stacks with either Joe Burrow or CJ Stroud, I would play Dalton Schultz 100 times over 100 over Smith. And he seems to have really safe production as well as a reasonably high ceiling. And I will be playing plenty of him this week. That is it. 8 minutes. Bang. In and out. Those are your DFS must plays for DraftKings. Do me a solid. Hit that subscribe button. Really trying hard to hit 1,500 subscribers before we get to Thanksgiving. Each week you'll get these videos on your newsfeed. You get our weekly preview, which is comprehensive. You'll get Rich's Dynasty content. We are here helping people win leagues. Let us help you. See you soon.